The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone!
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me.
Now we got it.
Do you think that you could
Hey, don't forget to share it this week.
Right? Did you see the numbers? Did you see the numbers?
Oh boy, did
on the double show we did on the Lawrence Homeless Coordinator?
Sure did.
Holy shit. Listen, when I told people you should be advertising on that podcast, they definitely should have. Some people did. Some people were very smart, jumped right in. They were like, yeah, we know Duggan if he says it's going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
Causing a lot of hurt feelings on the other side, though. Where? Where? Even the audio downloads, I was looking at that the other day. I was like, where are these people coming from?
People want to know.
There aren't 63,000 voters in Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? Like, where are these people coming from? I'm glad to have them. If any of you are tuning in. Now let me find the GoFundMe from Melvin Taylor too.
Oh yeah.
I wanna share that. Everybody, you in the yellow car. You know I'm getting better. You know what? You know I'm getting better. It's been quite the long road if you go back and watch. Do you know that in 2 weeks it's going to be the 1 year anniversary?
We were
of me going into a coma. Like somebody in the office last night reminded me, and they were like, "Hey Tom, you realize that like you went into a coma on August 28th last year, and we're 2 weeks away from that date?"
Yeah, you reminded me last week, and I was like, "No way!"
I was like,
"No way, we're almost on a year."
Right?
I cannot believe it.
And I'm still not back at 100%, but I'm close though. I gotta be like, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm in the 80s.
Yeah.
Although my lungs are 72. Oh, I missed that one. See that? All that bragging, and I missed the ba-ba-ba. Yep. We got a Methuen issue I'd love to talk about today if we have time. Got all kinds of stuff going on. I got the Melvin Taylor. I'm going to post that now. What do you think? Should we start the show? I just love listening to Mel. Like, if I had my way, I would just listen to Mel all.
Right?
Cheap bottle of wine and. All right. Hi, how you guys doing? My name's Tom Duggan here at the Paying Attention Podcast. High above, two guys smoke shop at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. As you heard me and Chrissy chatting about at the beginning of the show, there was a time about a little bit less than a year ago where I couldn't even have gotten that podcast out. Like there was no way I was with my lungs. My lungs are actually like still the one thing lagging behind. All my other organs are at like in the 90s as far as like efficiency. Like my heart's back to like 90-something%. My kidneys and my liver are back to like 90-something%. And my lungs it was because of the 2 days I spent in jail. And so my lungs were at 70, like 4 or 5% before that happened. And then I had a pulmonary test the week after that happened, and it went back down to 60, like 5 or 6%. And so now it's back up now to like 72, 75. Like I'm back to almost where I was before that. Which, well, we won't talk about the other stuff for today. But I was going to say like which is going to be the basis of a lawsuit, but I'm not going to say that because my lawyers will get very mad at me if I start projecting things. It's better to. Everybody keeps telling me it's better to just like surprise people, and I'm always like, no. It's always better to like let people know what's coming. And it comes from like, I guess it's just.
How does that work out
from
for you?
being nice, right? Yeah, right.
How has that treated you in the past, Tom? Has it yielded good results?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I guess I'm just insane at that point. So anyway,
Or tenacious. Hey, it's all in perspective.
well,
Come
that's
on
the thing,
now.
and it's because I was brought up to believe that like before you have a conflict with somebody, like you try to work it out, like you try to let them know that this is going to end bad for everybody. And so
Right.
I was raised by policemen who always were like, listen, you don't want to go to war with people. You don't want to have confrontations with people.
No.
If you could try to avoid it, try to avoid it. And so that's always how I've tried to avoid it.
course.
But other people see that as a sign of weakness, and then they use that to attack even more. So
yeah.
you're right. It has not worked out well for me in the past.
I was just being facetious.
Let's talk about some of our
Yeah.
sponsors. Holy crap. Can you believe this? Can you believe this?
Tell me.
The sponsor list is unbelievable. I wish people would boycott me more. We have an increase, I think it was 20% increase in advertising in the Valley Patriot this month. We have well over a 40% increase in advertising and sponsors on this show, despite the fact that somebody came here twice trying to get me taken off the air, which gets you nowhere when you're talking to free speech libertarians that run a podcast studio. You're never gonna get anywhere with that. So let's talk about some of our sponsors. Well, we could talk about Century 21 McLennan Real Estate, but Matt's going to be zooming in a few minutes to talk about the real estate market in the summertime. Is it a good time to buy when it's summer and everybody's on vacation, or should you kind of hold back a little bit? We'll ask him some questions about that, and we're also going to talk to him about how lawsuits affect the real estate market in a local area. So that was his idea, not mine. The Zany Pesci Law Office, Zany Pesh, Zany Pesce, Pescerino, and I want to apologize to the most beautiful woman alive, the sexiest woman alive, the woman that I say, anytime I bring up her name, I say she's the sexiest woman alive. Right? Everybody out there, you vouch for that every time I talk about Jana Zany Pesci, that I always say she's the most beautiful woman alive. So she posted a photo, I guess they're in Italy, and she posted a photo, and I guess it was just the way the light hit her, that it looked like a really filtered photo. And so I went by and I was like, wow, you used a lot of filters in that photo. And you wouldn't believe the shitstorm. People like should know better are texting her with like, can you believe what a horrible thing is what he said about you? He's being mean to you. I thought he was your friend. I can't believe he's being so horrible. People, it's a fucking filter. Everyone on Facebook is using a filter. So it's not really an insult to say somebody's using a filter, or because of the lighting to think somebody's using a filter. Like, it's not the end of the world. But people are always trying to get you to, like, not be friends with somebody. They will look at any opportunity. Can you believe what he said? So, of course, I had to put up with crap about that, even though it was like a good-hearted thing, or like a good-natured thing that I was saying. But whatever. We still love Jana Zany Pesci. She is the most beautiful woman alive. So, given that I always say she's the sexiest woman alive, like that includes Shakira and Beyonce, and I say it on a regular basis. So what would make you idiots out there think that because I made a snarky comment about her using a filter on Facebook, that I was somehow insulting her looks? Hello, most beautiful woman alive, at every bash, on every show, every time I mention her, right, Chrissy? Every time I mention her name, do I say she's the sexiest woman alive?
Yes, you do.
All right, so, like, people, stop it, okay? Stop trying to divide and conquer. Especially, like, friends and family members of hers that are texting her going, this is horrible! No, it's not, okay? You obviously have way too privileged a life if that's what you think is horrible in this world, okay? Try spending 3 months in a hospital and then tell me what's horrible. What else do we have? Marston and Son Construction. Love Ronnie Marston. I think I screwed up, and I think we left his business card out of this edition of the Valley Patriot, so we will double up next month. And maybe we'll have him come on if he's willing to, like, say anything, like, significant or, substantive about what's going on in Methuen. He is a Methuen City Councilor, after all. EIS, Investigation and Gun Training, they are officially on the payroll of the Valley Patriot. And boy, I can tell you, worth every damn penny. Almost every day or every other day, I'll get an email from EIS, and they'll be like, hey, bet you didn't know this. And I'll look at the email going, holy crap, you're right, I didn't know about that. Clear Path for Veterans New England, Tomo and Shaken Seafood. And Trissy, I'm only halfway through the sponsor list.
I'm loving
It's
this.
effing crazy. Who else do we have? AFC Urgent Care. I think I said Clear Path for Veterans New England. By the way, a real nonprofit that actually helps veterans and doesn't take money off the top for themselves. Clear Path for Veterans New England, who, by the way, J.C. Gilbert has an office in Lawrence now. It's in the Packard building in South Lawrence above Packard Pharmacy. on, I was going to say Packard Street, but that's wrong. That's wrong. Isn't that awful? I can't remember what street that's on now. Isn't that awful? It's Packard Street, where St. Patrick's
Which company
School
again,
is.
sir?
It's
What's
Clear
company?
Path for Veterans. And they're on, it's the Winthrop Avenue turns into, oh my God, just don't get old, people. Please don't get old. Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, and I think it's almost time to have Dave Idconsoli. Maybe we'll do like a 1 year anniversary show and have him come in. A 1 year anniversary of like me dying twice and being brought back. Although I have to be honest, I really think that my viewers are probably sick of hearing about it. Like for me, because I'm supposed to be dead, it's still a big thing a year later. But but for everybody else, I think they're probably just sick of it. So maybe I won't. Maybe I'll spare them that. Patrick's Eatery, which used to be Harrison's Roast Beef, and he bought the old. So what had happened was the people that owned Harrison's, the father passed away, and the son took it over, and then he changed the roast beef sauce. He changed the recipe for the roast beef sauce, which is why people stopped going there. And they also were kind of rude to people, which is also why people stopped going there. And so our good friend Dean Chongus, who was on the show almost a year ago, I think now, right? Wow, it's just so crazy how time flies. Purchased it. He's now calling it Patrick's Eatery. And you can get, like, Jim's Kebab. So Jim Monier, one day a week, I think Wednesdays, has the old Jim's Kebab and Monier's recipe for grape leaves and hummus and all of that stuff, which is great because I'm always in there. I'm always getting some of that stuff. So I want to thank Dean Chong with Patrick's Eatery. Prime Insurance and the Mercurio Law Office. If you need insurance, please think about Prime Insurance. They're located in North Reading. That doesn't matter because you don't have to drive. In the old days, you had to drive to your insurance office and sit down with somebody to buy insurance. Now you can do it online. You can do it on the phone. You can even do it online on your phone. That's how great the technology is now. So look up Prime Insurance in North Reading. I believe they're on Main Street in North Reading. See our buddy Doug Mercurio, who's a really good guy and has really helped us out a lot. Chris's Barbershop in Salem, New Hampshire, right above Sevmar, which is downstairs on Main Street in Salem, New Hampshire. So you go down, you get yourself some hummus, you get yourself some pita bread, maybe some lamb chops. When you're done, you go upstairs to Chris Alvarado at Chris's Barbershop. You get yourself a haircut. We're only 2/3 through the list, Chrissy. We're gonna have to do like part of the list, then do show, and then part of the list, then do show, and then part of the list.
Maybe.
Because at this point, like everybody's tuned out. I've spent the first 10 minutes of the show
Talking about
reading
true
sponsors, and while I'm sure the sponsors really love it, we want to increase the.
That's right. We're waiting for Matt anyway.
That is true. We're waiting for Matt McLennan. So Chris's Barbershop above Sevmars, which has the best lamb chops ever. Please trust me when I tell you. I don't even like lamb, and I go there, and that's exactly what I get. And our big hit, and this is not to slight any of our other advertisers. This is not to slight anybody, but I was so thrilled when I got a phone call from Jessica Phillips at Enterprise Bank a couple of weeks ago when she said, we want in. We loved sponsoring the Bash. We love being able to help TMF. We love being able to help your scholarship kids. So we want to be in with the Valley Patriot. We want to advertise in the paper, and we want to sponsor the show. So with all of this controversy going on, you would think corporate America would be fleeing. You would think corporate America would be running away, but they're not running away because the local people who run corporate America, the local people involved in corporate America, they know what the truth is. They actually look online. They do their own research. They don't just react knee-jerk like some people do. Like the Coca-Colas of the world do. Enterprise Bank, they're on board with both feet. We love them in Methuen and in Lawrence. Even though Lawrence is the only one advertising with us, I want to throw some free love to Methuen because they're doing great work over there and they help TMF with the homeless. And so anybody that helps TMF with the homeless is good with me. Always happy to give them a free shout out. W3 On, they're the guys that do my website, the Valley Patriot website. You should be going to valleypatriot.com at least once every 2 days. I'd say every day, but nobody goes anywhere every day, right? Nobody does everything once a day, right? But every other day, you should go to the Valley Patriot website because I will sometimes post a story at 2 a.m. on the Valley Patriot website and then share it on Facebook. But you might not get up until 10 o'clock the next morning, and now there's 100 things behind it, so you're not going to see it on my Facebook feed. So you want to go to valleypatriot.com, and that's all the stories that maybe you missed if you're not hitting refresh every 5 seconds on my Facebook page. What else do you have? Stadium Chiropractic, and we're not even done. Stadium Chiropractic behind Taco Bell in Lawrence. Our good friend Dr. Amano, who has actually worked on me in the past, and he did a really good job given how delicate my back is. 4-Star Lighting was talking to Kirsten and Joe at 4-Star Lighting yesterday, and really, really happy that they're still on board with us. I think they're going on their 5th year with us now. And every once in a while, things get really controversial, like the whole thing with Neil Perry. And then we had like a couple of other controversies going on in like North Andover. And so whenever things are at like the height of controversy, I always call my best advertisers that have been with me for a while, and I'll just say, listen, just want to make sure you're still with me. Are you still with me? And if they say yes, I go out of my way to give them like double ads or give them extra love, because it's not easy in this day and age when somebody's being controversial to stick with them. So whenever someone does it, I always give them the option. Listen, if you're my friend and this is, throwing some shade your way, you're having a hard time because you're advertising with us, I'm okay if you step back a little bit. And so far, none have. Not one has. Not one advertiser, not one sponsor has said, Tom, you're too controversial, I got to leave for a little while. But if they do, I'm okay with it. But I just want to, I want to let you know that our advertisers have been very, very loyal. And so those of you who follow my show, those of you who read the Valley Patriot, those who follow me social media, you need to be doing business with the people that are doing business with us. Because they're the people that allow me to keep doing what I'm doing when certain individuals show up at the podcast studio to have me taken off the air, right? It's the Dave Garofalo's of the world. It's the Matt McLennans of the world. It's the Dave DiNatale's of the world. It's the Dean Chongresses of the world. It's the, now that I've mentioned one, right? You want to mention all of them? It's the people that are there every month, regardless of whether it's a slow month or a busy month. All right, and one more we have. We did 4-Star Lighting and Salvatore's Restaurant in Lawrence. All right, I think I effectively killed about 10 minutes of the show reading sponsor lists. And on the line with us, joining us via Zoom, is one of my favorite advertisers. I love to watch him all over the world. Like, he goes to concerts everywhere, and he's always traveling. So I live vicariously through you, Matt McLennan, from Century 21 McLennan Real Estate in Methuen. You're on Broadway, Methuen, right?
Yeah, been there, 40 years now. We're also in Bradford.
Oh, yeah. So you don't have a North Andover office anymore, or did you?
No. We've been on 125 in Bradford for about 20 years.
Oh, okay.
North Andover was probably 20 plus years ago.
Right. So we're watching the real estate market, and I watch the real estate market not because I could ever afford a house, but we print in the Valley Patriot every month. We print the foreclosures and the property sales from the previous month. We get it from the Registrar of Deeds. Paul Anicello sends us that every month. And so I noticed that like 3 years ago, we were publishing 3.5 pages, and that's newspaper pages, not like regular pieces of paper, 3.5 newspaper pages of foreclosures and sales. But the last 4 or 5 months, we're printing maybe a page and a half, maybe less than a page and a half. So I thought maybe this is a good time to have our real estate legend guru, Matt McLennan, on to talk about what's going on in the real estate market. But also I think a lot of people are asking, it's the middle of summer, right? Everybody's on vacation. Maybe this is the time to scoop up that three tenement. Maybe this is the time to pick up that rental income property, or maybe it's not. Like, I'm going to leave it up to you.
All right. So it's been a very interesting summer. It's been a busy year. And, though I think people will say it feels like that this year is a little slower, it really isn't. I pulled some numbers year over year. So if you're looking at the number of homes, talking Methuen single families, nearly the exact same number of homes sold this year as the previous year. And pricing is up in Methuen 8% year over year.
Wow.
North Andover, the volume of homes sold is down 5% year over year, but pricing is up 5%. Lawrence, single families, number of homes is up 5% and pricing is up 11.5%.
Wow.
Now, these are, since before COVID, prices action has just been going. So July was crazy. I got one other number, the Lawrence multifamilies. If you think, summer's a good time to grab a deal, there are no deals out there. There are no deals. The number of multis that have sold is up 9%, and the pricing on multis is up 16%.
Wow.
Year over. So we've not had a drop in the last 4 or 5 years. Wow. So July was a crazy market. You're seeing on the high end things, Wyndham, Andover, North Andover, Reddings, North Reddings, homes at $1 million, $1.2 million. Those will still typically sell within a week, and you're seeing bidding going $100,000, $200,000 over asking sometimes.
Wow.
You're seeing in Methuen, there's tons of competition right at that 500, 550 and lower price range. There's still a ton of qualified buyers that 499 is going to get bid up, maybe to 550, maybe to 570. Now you get to some price points, maybe around 700,000. I think you have to be a little careful with your pricing. You can't, a year, 2 years ago, you almost could throw it out at a number and the market would still sort of drive it to a certain number. Everything would sell. You are seeing some homes sitting a little longer on the market. If it doesn't sell within that first 5 days, you go, whoa, what happened? You're seeing some homes that do sit on the market a month, may take a price reduction or two, but those things are still selling. Interest rates, they've been ticking down. We've seen the last couple of weeks going from the 7s to the mid 6s, and industry experts think those are going to continue to drop over the next several months. So it's still, it's a great time to sell. Everything is pretty expensive. So if you have to sell and buy, you're going to make it on your sell, but it is expensive out there right now.
So if the interest rates go down, is that going to be good for home buyers, or is that better for home sellers?
Well, it's good for home buyers. They have more purchasing power, so it increases the number of buyers available for that home. And then a lot of times these home sellers, they're cashing out at big dollar points, and they got to go buy something, so they're going to make out on their purchase as well. Mm-hmm. So everybody wins as interest rates come down. Something that I really wanted to talk about, and it's been in the news, and you kind of mentioned lawsuits, and I don't think you'll catch it what I was throwing at you, but you've seen on all the national media, there were lawsuits that threatened the National Association of Realtors about how home sellers are paying commissions, and the realtor organization, they settled these class action lawsuits, and that are bringing about some changes. So we're seeing the most significant changes that I've seen in how my industry operates, the most significant changes in my 30-year career. So some people it's funny, it was a handful of clever lawyers that said, you know who's a prime target? Let's go after the real estate industry, and screw these guys. They seem to be all like making money hand over fist, and how tough could their job be? And it's funny. You'll see CNN say, yeah, screw those guys. You'll see Fox say, yeah, screw those guys. Right. They all had too good of a gig. So I could touch upon what that lawsuit was and what the changes are. So the changes in Massachusetts actually go into effect in 2 days. So our industry has been sort of gearing up. So you want me to riff on this for about 5 minutes?
No, please explain it, because I'm fascinated by what it is that these lawsuits have done across the board that are going to change the face of real estate.
So historically, homes would sell that a home seller would hire a real estate agent, and they would pay one commission. Maybe that was 5%, maybe it was 4%. It was never a fixed number. It was always negotiable. And then the homes would be placed into this multiple listing database, and the real estate agents that represent buyers could say, okay, I've got a buyer for $500,000 in Methuen. And in that multiple listing, the sellers would decide, maybe I'm paying my real estate agent 5% of that commission, and I'm authorizing my real estate agent to share half or a portion of that commission to the buyer side agency. That's how it always worked. So commissions were technically paid by the seller, but they really were just built into the whole transaction. So lawyers said, hey, sellers, don't you kind of feel like you're paying for the buyer's representation, and maybe that's not fair? And they decided to do a class action lawsuit in a small county in, I believe, Missouri. And within 3 hours, a jury on a $1 billion class action lawsuit said, yeah, I think that's not fair. Let's find in favor of the plaintiffs. And so there was a lot of other pending lawsuits that was setting a precedent for saying, you know what? This feels like price fixing. The industry doesn't know that, hey, all commissions are negotiable, all fees are negotiable. And that set a tone for saying this is bringing about some change. So the association or National Association of Realtors decided to say, let's settle this lawsuit, pay out some dough, and agree to some changes of how things are done. So the big changes, which you'll see in the media, you'll see national media saying, this is going to be huge savings for the home seller. This is going to be huge benefits to the buyer. In summary, no, it's changing the names of things and the technicality of things, but in the reality, I'll break it down for you. So the rules now are there is no compensation communicated in the multiple listing. So a buyer could work with Matt McLennan. We could say, here's 25 homes for sale listed by all different companies. And I could show those homes, I could represent the buyer, but it does not say up front, if the buyer buys this house, this brokerage is going to be paid X percentage. So that's removed. That's always been there for my entire career. So that's now off the table.
So how is less transparency good?
This is trying to say make it more transparent. Now, sellers are going to hire their seller representative and essentially say, you represent me, I am going to pay you this fee of, and that's negotiable. Maybe it's 2.5%, maybe it's 3%, maybe it's 2%. So that's how the real estate agent is going to get hired, where before maybe they were hired at 4, 5, or 6%. So listing agent, I represent the seller. Seller's going to hire me at an X percentage. Buyers used to be able to call up a real estate agent and say, hey, I drove by Main Street. Can you meet me there in 10 minutes? Show me the house. Maybe you'd sign a disclosure saying, hey, if I sell you this house, I represent you. Now, buyers to look at homes have to sign a contract and hire their own buyer real estate agent with a contract. Then that explains how is that person going to get paid. So that side of the deal saying, great, I'll help you. I still need to get paid some percentage, 2, 2.5, or 3, at whatever that number is. What initially people are saying, oh my God, this is great for the seller. The seller's now not paying that fee. The buyer, in reality, is not going to say, okay, I'll pay you $15,000 out of my pocket if I buy this $600,000 house. That's what the media is trying to spin, saying let seller pay their guy, let buyer pay their guy. The reality of what's going to happen is you're going to have a contract with your buyer. That contract's going to say you owe me 2% or 2.5% for my services, but we're going to roll it into the transaction as we make an offer to this seller. So the theory of thinking the seller was now going to, instead of paying 5%, is paying 2.5%. They're going to pay that 2.5%, and a buyer is going to come in and say, I'll offer you $500,000, but that $500,000 is contingent upon the seller paying my real estate representative 2.5%. So contract-wise, it's a little different. Both clearly have their own contracts, buyers to buyers, sellers to sellers. Everything is disclosed. Are all the fees still rolled into the same purchase price? Yes, they are. So
But you've driven the purchase price up, though, right? If I'm following the math right. And I went to Lawrence High School, so tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But so it seems to me that in the old days, as of today, the buyer is paying their seller through an already fixed price that the seller's agent has set up. Now it's going to be they're going to pay their buyer real estate agent. The seller real estate agent is still going to be charging the 4 or 5% they were charging before, that they were giving half to the seller's real estate. But now they're keeping it, and the seller and the buyer is also paying. So it sounds to me like the buyer is now paying 7-something% total, whereas before they were paying 4.5. No.
So it used to be the seller would pay 5%, and of that 5%, typically 2.5% then may be split with the buyer side. Now the seller is only going to pay 2.5%, but the buyer is going to write a contract that says, at this purchase price, I need you, the seller, to pay an additional 2.5% to my representative. So it's still the same number. It's
Okay.
still 5%.
All right.
It used to be 5% would go to the listing agency, who would then give half away. Now only 2.5%. Not a fixed number. Could be 2, could be 3. But a percentage is going to go to the seller side, and then the buyer side is going to negotiate in their own fee. So a seller is going to look at offers, and again, as they always have, they're going to make their decision based on what is the best bottom line net. Who's the strongest buyer that nets them the most amount of money? So maybe it sounds like, why would I pay Joe Zingales, who's a friend of myself and our company? Why would a seller, if Matt represents seller and Joe Zingales represents buyer, why would a seller agree to pay a 2.5% fee to Joe? Well, maybe because Joe represents the absolute strongest buyer making the absolute strongest offer. And then they're going to say, at the end of the day, was it worth me paying that $15,000 fee to this side if I'm netting $75,000 more than what I thought my house was worth? So that's, right. People never feel great about saying, oh, I paid my real estate agent X number of dollars. But at the end of the day, even I've got clients I've worked with for 20 years, some that are incredibly successful in various businesses. At the end of the day, they know that us negotiating and handling the entire process makes it easier for them and nets them more money than if they just did it themselves. Right. You could hire a lawyer and say, do my closing for me. But you know what? Without the proper marketing and negotiation, maybe you did leave $100,000 on the table in an effort to try to avoid paying $15,000 to the expert. So that's why the industry's always been around.
So if I drive by a piece of property and you're the selling agent, can I just come to you? What if I just come to you and say, "Hey, I don't want to pay a selling a buying agent. I don't want to pay $15,000 to Joe Zingales. I might as well just go to you. You're the guy that's doing it. Save myself 2.5%, and just walk into your office and say, "Hey, go show me the house."
In theory, yes, you have those options. But what you're choosing to do is saying, I want to move forward by either not being represented, and then I could say, fine, I represent the seller. You tell me what you want to offer. I'll draw up the paperwork, and you can navigate the process on your own. Or you have the choice of hiring me or someone at my company to also represent you and be your expert through the whole process. Again, that comes with a fee. That gets negotiated into the whole transaction. So
is it as much?
People are going to test those waters, but I think without paying a representative, it's as simple as you get what you pay for. If you want to save on a fee, fine. You could make an offer that isn't properly, educated to say, well, why am I not winning out on bids? Because you're making shitty offers because you're not working with someone that's educating you on the market and the values and the process. So there's a value that real estate brokers and agents provide their sellers and their buyers. And anyone that's recently gone through the process, I think at the end of the day, I think sellers sit there and say, man, there's a lot of moving parts. And sure, half the time things go smooth. But the second you start running into delays and issues with financing and deadlines, you really do need that expert in there to guide you through all of this. And 50% of the deals are complicated and things come up. So buyers have no idea what this process is. And so they're still buying homes. A good buyer agent does not have the magic powers to say, I got you this house and used my negotiation skills to save you $100,000. But what they do is they guide you to make the smart decisions to be the winning purchaser when maybe there are 20 and 30 other offers on the table.
Gotcha.
And at the end of the day, when they're at that closing and they're finally in their house and maybe they've been looking for 6 months to a year, they feel pretty good about the process, and whatever fees are earned by the brokers for what they're doing. At the end of the day, I think they're all pretty happy.
See, I want everybody to be using you, and I don't want people going to other real estate agents. I mean, I love Joe Zingales. He's a great guy. He's been good to us over the years, so it's not about him. But I don't want people use. So if I decide if I want to buy a house and I don't want to go to a selling agent, and I come to you and you say to me, well, you still need representation, so somebody in our firm is going to represent you. Am I saving anything? Am I saving on the 2.5, or am I going to pay the same no matter what I do?
It's going to pay the same no matter what you do.
All right. Okay.
Pretty much. pretty much.
I gotcha.
So, and again, I don't think anyone's paying any additional or any less than what was happening last week or last year or 15 years ago. But I think there's going to be more education so sellers understand what are they getting for who they're hiring.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's more transparency for everyone. So I think you'll see a shift in this industry of in a booming market, you can get some less experienced agents that can fly by the seat of their pants. It can drive people around and end up selling homes. But I think nowadays you're sitting down, you're having a consultation, whether it's your buyer or your seller, and explaining the whole process, and they have to hire you with a binding contract before you move forward. So you better be able to explain what you're doing for what fee you're earning, or you're not going to get hired. Right. And I think that's going to thin out some of the herd, which is fine. You know, we've been a lot of companies come and go, a lot of agents come and go. We've been here. My mom started this in 1985. She's still going strong. We're one of the oldest guard still out there doing it, and we've evolved. We've evolved with technology. We've evolved with how we do things. And here's just another change. And McLennan Company is ready. We're happy to educate our clients, educate other agents in the marketplace. So,
real quick question, because we have about a minute left. What needs to happen for the real estate market, the prices of homes to come down to a reasonable level where a middle-income family can actually afford to buy a home again?
Catastrophic economic collapse would probably plummet pricing.
Yeah, we don't want that.
But no. So I think there's, unfortunately, our geographic location of where we are to highways in Boston, and then where we are to great recreation like mountains and beaches, we're super desirable. When you could buy homes at $300,000-$500,000, it was a great time. But just with the changes in the market, the pricing has just gone up and up and up. So I think people may be exploring a little more into some of those slightly more rural locations. Maybe you're not the town off of 93, but you're 2 towns away. Maybe you're a Sandown. And now you could really start still seeing, okay, does $450,000 get me something? But if your price range is $275,000, you're probably in a condominium. It's all proximity to Boston. You have to find lower pricing. You're just moving a little further away from the city, but people are working more and more remotely, so that is very feasible.
So McLennan Real Estate, Century 21 on Broadway in Methuen, and also on 125 in Bradford, which is a fancy name for Haverhill.
Yes.
Look him up, find him on Facebook. And by the way, before I let you go, what's the next concert?
All right, this one's kind of silly. So I'm coming off of a great run. The 2 nights at Metallica were amazing.
Oh, I bet that was great.
I've been in a real Metallica kick. We're going to see a 90s band, Creed, up at Winnipesaukee.
Oh, Creed's they're pretty good. I like Creed.
Yeah. But I'm very, very excited. September brings me a run of Pearl Jam.
Nice.
And I'll be spending my birthday out in Chicago seeing Pearl Jam at Wrigley Field. So
the one
I don't know what you're into. That's what I'm into.
No, I am. I'm actually into all of those. And the one that you saw that I was really jealous. I get jealous every time I see you at a concert because I wish that I could go to more concerts. But when you saw Queensryche, I was like, wow! Like that's the one. That's one of the few besides Seven Dust that I would love to go see. And there he is, 2 nights in a row at a Queensryche concert.
If you want to have a funny podcast, bring myself and attorney Senator Barry Feingold on. Barry is the most straight-laced looking human being, but he's also the world's #1 Queensryche fan.
Really?
So
I'll tell you what.
Talk some metal. Bring on Matt. The Matt and Barry show is here for you.
I think that would be a great end of summer show. Would you talk to Barry? Because sometimes I call Barry and he loves me. Then other times I call Barry, he wouldn't even take my call. So I never know when he likes me, when he doesn't like me anymore. But if you reach out to Barry, I would love to have him on the show. We won't talk any politics. We'll just talk about concerts. I would love to do a show like that. I think a lot of people would have a lot of fun with that.
We'll do my best. Barry tries to hide his metal godness, but I will out him, and I'm out there. I fly my flag.
And you saw the Scorpions. You saw the Scorpions recently too, didn't you?
No, not
in the last
Scorpions.
couple of
I would love
years?
to see the Scorpions, but they've not been around in a long time. But
All right,
I certainly would love to see them.
Right.
It's been a good summer. It's been a good run.
Well, listen, I love to live through you vicariously. I go on Facebook almost every day, and I see what concerts Matt. What concert is Matt at today? And
my wife does the same thing. Where is he now? What concert is he at right now?
Thank you, Matt McLennan from McLennan Real Estate, Century 21. We'll make sure we'll put all the details for people to contact you in the comment section below this. And maybe like sometime around October, right around election time, we'll have you come back.
Absolutely. Move to.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Love Matt McLennan. You gotta love him and Sam. Go to like every concert that there is. And you know, I'm a big music guy. You wouldn't think so, but I'm a big music guy, and I love heavy metal. I was a big Van Halen fan. I was a big AC/DC fan. And so every time I see them at like a heavy metal, especially like a heavy metal concert, like, you know, everybody wants to go to like the regular pop concerts, but the heavy metal concerts are a lot of fun now, especially with these old timers that are still around. Judas Priest, I think, just toured. I would have loved to have seen them. I wasn't a big into Judas Priest, but I did like them, so it'd be great to see them now. All right, so let's wrap up the show. There was one advertiser that I actually, with all of the new sponsors we have, I left one off the list. I noticed it was rotating underneath during the interview, so we want to thank AJ Goodwin Plumbing. AJ Goodwin Plumbing. Do I have that right? Is it AJ Goodwin? I don't want to make sure.
A&J Goodwin.
A&J Goodwin Plumbing.
Plumbing and
Please give them a call. And Matt, if you're still watching, if you need plumbers for your real estate stuff, please give A&J Goodwin Plumbing some of your business, because they're coming in at a very controversial time with us, and they're getting a lot of eyeballs, but I want to make sure they actually also get some business. Thank you to Salvatore's Restaurants, 4-star lighting, Stadium Chiropractic, W3 On, my favorite in the world, Enterprise Bank, the best decision I ever made, moving all my stuff, all my finances to Enterprise Bank, Chris's Barbershop at Salem, New Hampshire, Prime Insurance, the Doug Mercurio Law Office, Patrick's Eatery, which is the Old Harrison's, AFC Urgent Care, Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, Clear Path for Veterans New England, Tomo and Shaken Seafood, EIS Investigation Gun Trading, Martian and Son Construction, Zanny Pesci Law Office, and Century 21 McLennan Real Estate. Sounds like Melvin Taylor says you got to go home, so go home already.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.